Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install the Bushwacker pocket style fender flare on the 2015 Ford F-150. Let's go ahead and get started. So we went ahead and we've dry fitted the pocket style fender flares up against the body of the truck, make sure everything fit properly and make sure we know everything where it goes in the right place. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put the bolts into the fender flares. Now, of course, these don't actually bolt onto your truck. The bolts are all aesthetic. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your Torx head bolts in the kit. This should be in a bag all by themselves. You'll also have with those bolts your flat washers and also your nylock nuts. The way you want to do this, the flat washers are stamped, and so you're going to have kind of a smooth side on one side of the washer and then kind of a more of a rough side on the opposite side from where it was stamped. The smooth side actually needs to be touching the paint. So we're going to slide that over top like so, and we're going to put the bolt through the hole and then turn that over. We're going to take our nylock nut and we're going to put that on there hand tight. Now we're going to use a T45. You'll have one in the kit. We've actually just got a T45 attachment to go on a socket. We're going to hold that still with the T45 Torx, and we're going to tighten it down with a 1/2 inch on this side. Now we're going to repeat that exact same process on every single bolt for all 4 fender flares. Next, we're going to install our edge trim. Now this is going to go on the outside edge of the fender flare. This is only the visible portion of the fender flare. So what we need to do, since we have some adhesive that goes to the inside of the flare, we need to wipe down the inside of the flare real well with rubbing alcohol. All right, now to start off, we're going to take our edge trim and we're just going to peel a couple of inches of the protector away from the adhesive. Then we're going to keep that tape edge to the inside, and we're going to kind of squeeze it to get it apart and put it right into the edge of the fender flare. Now as we're putting that on, we want to kind of squeeze to get this edge around the painted side and the taped edge to the inside of the fender flare. And we're going to work a little bit ahead and get everything in place. And once we have it in place for a few inches, we'll hold it down and then peel. As we peel away the tape, we want to make sure we press it against the inside of that fender flare to make sure we have good adhesion. All right, when we get to the end, we're going to cut off our excess and peel the rest of the way. We're going to repeat this same process on all 4 of our fender flares. All right, now we've got a couple of screws that are actually going into the plastic valance, and those are held in with a 9/32. We're going to remove them with a 9/32. We're going to go ahead and pull those out right now. We're going to retain these screws for installing the new fender flares. Now we have factory fender flares on this truck, so we're going to go ahead and remove those. If you don't have factory fender flares, you can go ahead and skip this part. There's actually 3 Christmas tree fasteners to the inside of the flare that need to come out. We got one here, and one here. And then we have one up underneath the rocker panel down below. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop out those Christmas tree fasteners. Now once we've got all those Christmas tree fasteners loose, we're going to go ahead and pop the fender flare loose from the fasteners that hold it to the body panel. So the trick to pulling these fasteners right here out is you'll pull one side of the fastener out, then take a little wedge and that it'll pop loose on one side, and then you want to pry it loose on the opposite side as well, and it pops out. I'm going to do that with all the fasteners that are still in there. Now with the factory fender flare out of the way, I've got this piece of plastic trim that needs to come off. I've got 2 screws holding that in place up the top. Those come out with a 7/32. We're also going to go ahead and retain these screws for later install as well. and then I'll have a Christmas tree fastener below to take out. All right, now on the inside of the fender well, we've got 3 screws, one here, and then one here. Those need to come out with a 7/32. We're also going to retain those for future install. All right, now towards the rear of the vehicle in the fender well, we're going to have a spot that is going to require some adhesive. So what we're going to do is we're going to wipe down the inside of that fender well just right back in here. Next, I'm going to locate the hole for you. If you look at these 2 holes at the bottom, you go up 1 hole. This is the hole where we're going to mark on our fender well. What we're going to do is we're going to line up the fender flare in place. We're going to lift up, make sure it's in the right spot. I'm using a silver Sharpie. You can also use a grease pencil. And I'm going to mark in the fender flare right here. I'm going to pull it away. We're going to see the location where I marked. All right, now in this location we just marked, we're going to use a rubber pad and adhere it there. It's going to have 3M stamped on the back of the adhesive portion. We're going to set that in place like so. Push our fender guard out of the way and then wrap that around. We're going to press down on that and get good adhesion. Now with that done, we're going to take our clip. You want the bent piece to the inside. We're going to center that and then slide it in place. That gives us a hole on the inside here. All right, now we're going to find our bracket. That is a plastic bracket, comes with our kit. On the inside of it, it's got a stamp that says RF. That's for the right front. These holes right here are going to need to have a smaller clip. The bent portion goes to the inside of that. We're going to put all 3 over top of the hole and just make sure they're nice and centered. Next, we're going to line these holes up to the locations where we took out those 7/32 screws. Now that we've got all 3 in position, we're going to hold the bracket in place and tighten them down. All right, next we're going to go ahead and set our fender flare into place. Make sure we've got it fit at the front and at the back. And starting with the center 3 screws, we're going to use our longer Phillips head screws that are in our kit. We're just getting this screw started. We're not tightening it down all the way at this time. Okay, so now we're at the next hole back. And again, we're just going to line this up into place, but we're not going to fully tighten it at this time. All right, now go into the hole on the opposite side of that center screw. Now you go ahead and set that in place. Again, we're just setting it in place. We're not tightening it up at this time. Okay, now coming down, this is where we installed that clip. I'm going to move the fender flare in to line up the screw with the clip. And this one as well. We're just going to get that screw started into the hole, but not tightened. Now what we're going to do is we're going to relocate where our 7/32 screws were taken out. And we're going to need to line up these holes going through the holes in the sheet metal into our the clip nuts that were from the factory. Now in order to get that one lined up, it's necessary to pull towards the inside of the vehicle with this piece here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and replace our 9/32 screws into the factory holes up the front. And once you get these 2 started, you can go ahead and back and tighten up all the rest of the hardware. Now we're at the rear fender. We've got a couple of bolts on the bottom side of the rocker panel that needs to come out. It comes out with a 10mm. We got one here in the back. We got one at the front side. All right, now we have 4 Christmas tree fasteners that need to be removed. All right, with those Christmas tree fasteners out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and pop this off. Now all of these clips are going to come out just like clips on the front. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the U-nut that held that 10mm in place. Since it's kind of hard to see how that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and show you what I did. Here's the U-nut, and you can see there's a piece that clips in place and won't let it come out of the hole. So what you do with the flathead screwdriver is you just bring it in, and then you pry down on that flat piece and push it, and then it'll pop out of the hole, like so. Now I'm going to remove the U-nut on the front side as well. On this location on the fender flare and also the opposite side there, we need to rub that down with some alcohol. All right, we're gonna attach a clip up in front as well. So we're gonna wipe that down with alcohol as well on the inside and on the outside. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and dry fit our fender flare onto our fender. Get that held in place. Now we're going to take, you can either use a grease pencil, I'm using a silver Sharpie, and the holes on the inside of the fender flare, we're going to run that through, and we're going to mark the metal on the fender with that Sharpie. Also up underneath the fender flare, we're going to mark this hole up here as well. Next, what we're going to do is take our mylar piece and we're going to attach down here where we put the clip so the clip doesn't rub through the paint. Right, now we're going to go ahead and peel off the adhesive protector off the mylar, and then we're going to set it right over top of the spot we marked. And then wrap it around and fold it over on the opposite side. Now we're going to take our S-clip and clip it onto the fender. The bent portion goes up to the top. And this is going to be centered right onto where our mark was. All right, now we're going to go back to our foam pieces with a 3M. We're going to peel those off, and we're going to put them on the inside of the fender right over top of the holes and fold those to the back as well. All right, now all of these, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to center that foam pad on our mark. Now we're going to use our long U-clips, and we're going to set them onto our rubber protectors and push them in so we have a hole back behind there. Now we're going to go ahead and set our fender flare back into place. We're going to get up underneath, and we're going to attach our 4 long screws. Just get them started into those into the clips. Start with the middle. Now all these screws, we want to make sure they're lined up and started into the holes before we tighten anything down. Now where our S-clip was installed, we're going to take our short screw and install that in the bottom of that. Very back closest to the rear bumper, we've got a hole where we just put the push pin through, press it in place. Now we can go ahead and tighten down all the rest of our hardware. Now we're going to repeat the same process for the front and rear flares on the driver's side, and when it's all done, we're going to go ahead and seat our seals. Make sure they're properly seated by using this tool that's included in your kit. Use the hook side to run across the part that touches the body of the truck. Just slide it around. And the straight side will help to make sure the seal is seated properly. This goes between the seal and the fender flare. We'll run this around. We're going to do this on all 4 fenders. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.